Hello and welcome back, Sharkeers, to another episode of Deep Dives with Sharks. My name is Alex. I'm the host of this thing, and I highly recommend pulling up any aquarium live cams from their websites while working, unless you run a shark-themed podcast and have ADHD and are also super late on the episode, as always. Whoops. Also, if my HR department is listening, please don't take my sharks away. I'll be good. I get my work done, I swear. But I do have a quick few life updates. First of all, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope y'all had a nice, relaxing holiday season. I was supposed to get this out around Thanksgiving here in the US, which, for those who are unaware, is the end of November, but life had many curveballs to throw. I had to fly back home to Maryland. Work was being hectic as all get out, and I found myself needing a little break that was very much not planned, but we're back again. Now, I do have another piece of exciting news. This is no longer a one-man show. We now have Bree, who is helping with a lot of the behind-the-scenes work, including helping with research, social media posts, and so much more. We'll see how else she's involved as we progress, but she's been incredibly helpful with everything so far, and I'm excited to have her on board. Of course, we also have to mention the comfiest merch you guys asked, and I delivered. So there's still some shirts and hats. The merch link is in the bio. Buy while you can, and more is coming. And purchasing merch does definitely help the podcast to grow. We do have a few more designs coming soon, so stay up to date on that. And to stay up to date on everything Deep Dives with Sharks, hit the follow button on Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Amazon Music, or anywhere else you get your podcasts at Deep Dives with Sharks. And feel free to ask any questions, share any comments, or any shark-related content on social media. And let me know if you have any cool shark interactions, either in an aquarium or in the wild, that you want to share in the comments below. I'll be looking forward to reading them and also sharing with the Sharkeers next episode. But, as you guys may have known, due to the episode title, we're going to be talking about the Swell Shark this week. And the Swell Shark is cool because, like the name gives it away, they're pretty swell. What's that? They swell to twice their size as a defense mechanism. It's not just because they're swell. Well, you know what? They're still pretty swell to me. Swell sharks are in the cat shark family, and similar to other cat sharks, they don't grow incredibly large. They grow to be about 43 inches or 110 centimeters long. They're a yellowish brown with dark blotches and white spots. They can be hard to describe as they have really great camouflage and they blend in with the environment well. The color blotches break up their outline as well, and they do blend in among reef and rocky surfaces, which is where they tend to be. They have large eyes and mouths and a rather blunt nose. It kind of looks like someone pushed their nose in a little bit. They almost look like a blend between woebegone coloration, epaulette body, and the pajama shark's head. So it's really confusingly beautiful, I must say. I loved looking at pictures of these guys and the times I've seen them in aquariums, but I'll touch on that a little bit more later. Now, they inhabit the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California, all the way down to southern Mexico. You can find them off the coast of Chile. Swell sharks are bottom dwellers, and they can be found at depths of around 15,000 feet, which is 475 meters. But most are found at depths of 16 to 121 feet, or 5 to 37 meters. They can go rather deep, but they also tend to like it closer to the surface. They like rocky, algae-covered bottoms, and since they're nocturnal, they spend their days hiding in caves and crevices. That is a hard phrase to say. But they come out at night to feed by either ambushing their prey or resting quietly on the bottom with its mouth wide open, waiting for oblivious prey. So the woebegone comparison wasn't far off. Now, swell sharks are oviparous, which means they lay eggs. So you've heard me say ovoviviparous before, which is where they have eggs that hatch internally. These guys just lay eggs, which is oviparous. You may have heard about the shark pup at the Shreveport Aquarium that hatched in a tank with only 2 other female sharks. Those were swell sharks. The pup, Yoko, that's its name, egg case was found by the aquarium staff in the summer of 2024 in a tank with 2 female swell sharks. Yes, female swell sharks can lay eggs without male present, but they don't develop into viable embryos, so Yoko's birth was a bit of a surprise no one expected. If I remember correctly, I covered this when it came out, and I said that it was like Shark Jesus, but rather than immaculate conception, it's actually because of parthenogenesis, I believe is how you say it, which is where the egg just decides it's going to become a baby without needing a male shark. But parthenogenesis is the general consensus, and once Yoko is large enough, the aquarium will take a blood sample to be sure. Now, there are some interesting facts about the swell shark as well. And first of all is the fact that when they're threatened, they curve into a U shape and gulp water to swell its stomach. This helps the shark anchor into crevices, which makes them harder to reach and harder for predators to bite, hence the name Swell Shark. They are biofluorescent, which means they glow green under blue or UV light, which is also neat because they also have scorpions that do that, which is how many people in the Southwest will find them in their homes, is they'll just take a UV light around and then they'll see them glow really bright, which is kind of neat. They are currently listed as least concern. They don't really have much benefit to the shark trade. Their fins aren't large, and often they're accidentally caught as bycatch by recreational fishers. So that's kind of the biggest issue, but no one's really going after them. They are also harmless and will avoid humans, but can bite if stepped on or provoked. So still the best idea to not play with sharks in general. And also, even if you see someone who has a shark tank on TikTok, don't take that as a green light to go get yourself a shark. What are we doing? But speaking of aquariums, you can see the swell shark in many aquariums. Two that I've been to where I've been able to see them were the Baltimore Aquarium. They're on the third floor, I believe, next to the Puffin exhibit, which is either the third or fourth floor, but I think the fourth floor is the Amazon. I'm trying to visualize. I haven't been to the aquarium in a minute. I need to go back. But they're to the right of the Puffins. You'll typically see them under the rock structure that is off to the right or the one that's right off to the left. There are little two caves there that they like to hang out in. And also, if you ever see a weird guy in a shark shirt that is squatting down near that exhibit, I'm looking for the Swell Shark. Leave me alone. But I will say I have pointed out to many people to very concerned looks repeatedly. The other place that I've seen them is in Georgia. I forget exactly which section they were in, but I know that they weren't in the shark, the dolphins, or the Ocean Voyager exhibits. So it's either in the Arctic or the rivers one. I believe it's the Arctic one, though. I can't remember for sure. But it is over near the spider crabs, I believe. Once again, I've only been to the Georgia Aquarium twice, so I could be wrong. But that one was actually rather out in the open and really easy to see, at least the time that I was there. But I think the next time I went, they were away somewhere. But anyway, that's what we have for the Swell Shark this time. Of course, if I forgot to mention your favorite fact about them, or if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to send that over to me on the social medias. I do best at replying on Instagram. Also, if I have not replied to your message on Instagram, I apologize. Sometimes it doesn't alert me, so it might take a couple days, but I promise I will get to it. But going on to safety, today we're talking about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention: the role lifeguards play in preventing and responding to shark encounters. For many lifeguards, dealing with the presence of sharks is just another day at the office, more common than most people think. And the surprising part, they say it's really nothing to fear. The confidence comes from the extensive measures lifeguards take to protect swimmers long before the shark even gets close. When you choose to swim near a lifeguard tower, you're not just getting someone who watches swimmers, you're getting someone who consistently reads the ocean. Lifeguards are trained to scan the water for unusual patterns, splashing in odd places, bait fish schooling tightly, or movement that might signal a shark. And if they spot something concerning, they act fast. Clearing the water is something they can do in seconds. As someone who was a lifeguard at a pool, to clarify, I did not work at a beach. That was way too much for me to do. I'd rather sit in a chair and work on my tan. But as a pool lifeguard, I did make rescues. Don't come at me. It is something that we're constantly doing, is watching the water. And if something looks weird, we're usually the first ones to realize it. So we usually are able to alert and get people out of the water. The beach lifeguards can do a lot more, and they can get people out of the water just as quickly as we can get you out of a pool. So big kudos to those guys. But their job doesn't stop at surveillance. Lifeguards are big on public education. They offer safety tips that can genuinely reduce risk. Things like avoiding dawn and dusk swims when sharks are more active, or steering clear of areas where people are fishing. These small choices make a big difference. In the very first episode, I talked about fishing piers. Those are hotspots for sharks. Any structure where fish might school around, sharks tend to be nearby, because also, if we got a hooked fish, that's a pretty easy meal. So they tend to be around there. In the extremely rare chance that a shark attack does occur, lifeguards are your first line of emergency care. They're trained in advanced water rescue, CPR, and immediate first aid to control bleeding and stabilize a victim until medical help arrives. Their response can be life-saving. I will also speak as a lifeguard to say that the training we go through is so extensive. Once again, this is for just working at a pool, and working at a beach is even more extensive, but I can still do rescues in my sleep. I've not been a lifeguard since before I graduated with my undergrad degree, and it's been about 5 years, going on 6. I can still do these rescues like the back of my hand. They drill this into them, so you do not have anything to worry about. Now, what's also changing is technology. Many agencies are using tools like drones and acoustic buoys to track shark movement in real time. This gives lifeguards advanced warning and adds an extra layer of protection for beachgoers. Across the board, marine experts and lifeguards emphasize one thing: the safest choice you can make at the beach is to swim in a lifeguard protected area. Their training, awareness, and rapid response capabilities dramatically reduce risks, not just from sharks, but from all kinds of ocean hazards. So next time you hit the beach, look for that lifeguard tower. They're doing far more than meets the eye to keep you safe. This is another tip that I received from Mama Sandwich growing up. We would always park ourselves as close to, but out of the way of, lifeguard towers, because she knew myself was going to go out probably too far, which thankfully I never did. But she knew that one of us was going to get swept away at some point, and thankfully it never happened. But guess what? If we were, that lifeguard was right there. And all the times that I had soccer tournaments on the beach or anything like that, you'd see guards going in constantly. Even just being at the beach, you see guards constantly moving. So, of course, one thing that I overlooked myself, and Bree's actually the one who helped define this topic, was, of course, the simplicity of just being near a lifeguard, which a lot of people don't realize. They're not really there to yell at you if you brought a drink to the beach, as much as they are to make sure that they can save someone if they need to. I also want to give a huge shout out to the lifeguards at Bondi Beach. Unfortunately, the recent shooting that had happened there have been numerous posts that have shouted out the lifeguards that were working that day and did amazing things to save countless lives. So not only are they protecting people in the water, they're also protecting beachgoers constantly. So a huge shout out to all lifeguards out there. Whether, I know I just kind of messed around saying that the pool lifeguards just work on their tan, but you guys also do a lot, and it's great. I have to say, the amount of work that lifeguards put in, and this is bias coming from a former lifeguard, but just talking with those that have worked on the beach, talking to other people that have made many rescues at pools, it's just a lot of work that goes overlooked, and I want to give you guys your flowers. So thank you for that. But that is what we had for the safety portion of this episode. Of course, it is also a little shorter, but that is all right because we do have some news for everyone. Coming out in November 27th in Uzbekistan, we have great news for sharks and rays. A historic win occurred at the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, which is CITES, where participating nations voted to increase protections for over shark and rays species. That includes a complete ban on international commercial trade for oceanic white-tip sharks, whale sharks, manta rays, and devil rays. Now, this marks the first time that a shark species has received full protection with a complete international trade ban under CITES, which is huge because even before, you could get away with a little bit, and a little bit got bent to a lot of it. And it's not just because governments aren't caring or anything like that. It's because people have done a lot to sneak around these laws. I myself, when we went to Santa Cruz a few months ago, saw a local shop that was selling a fish. I cannot remember exactly which one it was, but it was a shark that was labeled as something different. And do I think they know that they were selling shark? I don't know. I didn't question them. They could have. I doubt it. I mean, I don't know who would want to, I feel like it's kind of one of those things that people tend to not want to eat shark, but I mean, I could be very wrong. But even seeing that so close to home now is crazy because it makes you think, how frequently have I gone by something and not realized that this was because of illegal trade that is just being classified as something different? So it was kind of wild to see. And it is really exciting to know that all these sharks now have protection. I mean, it's pretty much the big three ones, but that's still okay. But that they still have these protections and they're not going to be bothered. And if they do, people are going to come for them, which is awesome. So very much for that. Now, I do have to give a quick trigger warning. So the next article does in fact cover a shark attack that led to a swimmer's passing, and it might not be suitable for all listeners. So for any parents listening with kids, I'm not going to add a bunch of gross details or anything like that, but want to put that out there real quick. So the title of the article is that body found off of California coast is triathlete believed to have been killed in a shark attack. And this is reported by USA Today. So a triathlete, which for those of you who do not know, triathletes participate in running, swimming, and biking all in the same competition. So they were swimming off California's central coast, and it is believed that she was bit by a shark and eventually succumbed to her injuries. It was noted that she was wearing a shark band, which is meant to deter sharks, but we are still here at this outcome. This is not meant to attack shark bans or devices that are intended to limit or eliminate shark bites altogether. This is to show that there isn't a 100% shark-proof method, and that dangers in the water are, unfortunately, always a possibility. Some sources are going as far as to say that this device could have caused the shark to bite due to becoming agitated at the device. Now, I myself am not sure exactly how the device works, but we've all been somewhere and there is something annoying to you that just won't stop, like a smoke alarm that won't stop beeping because its battery is low, or an alarm going off and it's just a high-pitched squeal, and anything along those lines. And you're just ready to throw it or break it in some way to get it to stop. And it's possible that if this device utilized electric pulses or something that irritated the shark more than got it to leave, it would do something to make it stop. If you're just hanging out in your living room and something starts getting annoying, you're going to get rid of it too. Now, to also defend the device, it could have been faulty and not working properly. May have been out of charge, whole slew of options. But this is all to say you can't trust a shark repellent 100%, as things can go wrong. So it's always best to stay alert. This device could have worked perfectly for years, and then all of a sudden its casing got damaged, something like that. The article didn't go too into depth on how the device works, what could have gone wrong with the device. And I've seen things that people say are 100% foolproof, and then they'll test it on Shark Week or Shark Fest, and the shark bites it, and it's not. So it can have varying results. But one thing I always say is to just make sure you keep your head on a swivel. Just be aware of what you're doing. You don't have to be so alert that you're not enjoying yourself. But also realize that you are in nature. The same way you're not going to go out to the mountains and then all of a sudden slather yourself up in barbecue sauce and then be really confused when a bear shows up. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You're not going to do things to not prevent a bear from coming to you while you're camping. It makes sense that you do things to prevent a shark from getting closer to you when you're in the water. But just be careful when doing that. Know that anything that you do is not guaranteed to 100% keep everything away. And also, if you are deterring one thing, who's to say that another thing can't get past that and still do something? But all that just to say, keep your head up, stay alert, and stay safe out there. But that is what we had for this episode. I want to thank you all for listening once again. Comment or DM your shark encounter experiences so I can share them at the start or end of the next episode. We'll see which one you guys want more. Follow the Instagram for more updates on deep dives with sharks. You can also follow on Twitch, where I will run polls and stuff throughout the week to see what you all would like to hear. And also, any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to send them my way as well. And turn on notifications for the podcast so you know when the next episode is out. And give us a rating on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else you listen. And send this to anyone who will listen to it. Because, the more we grow, the more you get to hear my voice and more about sharks. But I appreciate y'all hanging out. Take care of yourselves. Happy New Year's. And I will see you in the next one.